To score a band 7 in the IELTS speaking test, you need to master 4 different types of pronunciation features. And to score a band 8, you need to master 5. In this video, I'll show you what those pronunciation features are and give you some tips on how to master them, as well as some common mistakes to avoid. Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Grant Richardson from Hong Kong IELTS Teacher. If you're new to this channel and looking for expert tips on how to improve your IELTS scores, particularly in speaking and writing, especially if you're a native Mandarin or Cantonese speaker, then consider subscribing and click the bell icon so that you'll be notified of any future videos. Let's take a look at what the band descriptors has to say about pronunciation, the public version that is. For the complete version of the band descriptors, you can click the link in the video description to download the PDF. You can see that most of the band descriptors include the word features, and that doesn't really tell you much. I'm going to describe them in more detail in a moment, one by one. But what you can see from the band descriptors is that pronunciation of individual words or sounds is important. And most people know that already. The individual sounds are often called phonemes of English, and you might know there are 44 phonemes of English, but that's only one of the features, one of the 5 different features required for a Band 8 pronunciation. The first feature is word stress. I'll give you some examples. These are some mistakes that I hear in Hong Kong, so check the way that you stress individual words. For example, do you say watermelon, watermelon? Or do you say watermelon, watermelon? Do you say industry or industry? Engineer, engineer. You can see the first syllable, N, is a minor stress, and the third syllable, ear, is a major stress. So it becomes engineer. Do you say sedentary or sedentary? And the second feature is chunking. Divide each packet of information into chunks appropriately. Give you an example of some problems with chunking. For example, as a Hong Konger, there's not much time to do something healthy, but I'll try to do something that's good for my body. For example, I try to go jogging with my husband after dinner around 2 to 3 times a week. And sometimes I'll invite my kid to join us. It's a good way to maintain our health. That's how Band 5 might produce a lot of their sentences. They join them together without pausing, or they put too many pauses inside a sentence. That's the correct version. As a Hong Konger, there's not much time to do something healthy. But I'll try to do something that's good for my body. For example, I try to go jogging with my husband after dinner, around 2 to 3 times a week. And sometimes I'll invite my kid to join us. It's a good way to maintain our health. You can see I've separated this sentence into 2 parts. Well, it should be 2 sentences, so therefore it's 2 parts, naturally, down here. And also I've put a comma after the for example. You don't have to rush through that. You can actually pause after for example. And also I've put a pause after this part here, after dinner. I wouldn't say after dinner around 2 to 3 times a week. That sounds rushed. After dinner, around 2 to 3 times a week. See here I've separated that last part from the previous part. Okay, the third feature is individual sounds. And this is where a Band 6 would have trouble. Not a lot, but some, enough to stop them from getting a 7. Pronounce individual sounds correctly. And I've spoken about this in another video, and it's the most commonly mispronounced sound of English, especially by Chinese native speakers. Do you say I think, thank you? Or do you say I think, thank you. Or, I think, thank you. Native Mandarin speakers often mispronounce the TH as an S, and native Cantonese speakers often mispronounce it as an F. The voiced TH, do you say, my mother cooks very well? Mother, mother. Or do you say, my mother cooks very well? Or, my mother cooks very well. A native Mandarin speaker will often pronounce this as the Z, mother, and a native Cantonese speaker will often mispronounce it as a D sound, my mother, my brother, my father. The R, I'm ready. This is causing a lot of trouble for native Cantonese speakers, and they'll say, I'm ready, I'm ready. So try to pronounce it correctly, I'm ready. And here's a tip on improving your pronunciation of the phonemes of English. Ask teachers or good English speakers to correct your pronunciation whenever you make a mistake. And this is part 2 of individual sounds. It's actually quite a long topic. I can't go into too much detail because we'll be here forever, but these are especially problematic for native Cantonese speakers, possibly also native Mandarin speakers. The TS sound, for example, pizza, pizza. Or do you say pizza or pizza? Now you can hear the difference. Pizza has a stop, pizza, and pizza, pizza. There's no stop. Or pizza, it's faster, there's still no stop. If you can't pronounce it correctly, I would try to replace the SA with the Chinese word for tea, drinking tea, ca. So you can say pizza, pizza. Now that's close enough. It's much better than pizza. And here's another problem. The BR sound. Brr, brr. Bridge, bridge. Do you say bidge, bidge? There's no meaning. Or bitch, bitch. I hear a lot of native Cantonese speakers mispronounce bridge as bitch. So be careful, that's an offensive term. And another common mispronunciation is the FR sound. Fr, afraid. Do you say afraid? So don't drop the R, make sure that you pronounce that together with the F. Fr, afraid. And another common mispronunciation is the KS consonant cluster. In taxi, taxi. Do you say tassie, tassie? And the correct pronunciation is success, success. Don't say success, success. These mistakes are really obvious to an examiner and they will keep you at a band 6 and possibly a band 5 if you're making these too often. The fourth feature of pronunciation is intonation, and you should use intonation naturally and appropriately. Listen to the way I use intonation in these sentences. For example, as a Hong Konger, there's not much time to do something healthy. You'll hear the word Konger and not and time are pronounced with a medium stress. You can call that a minor stress or a medium stress. And the word healthy is the major stress or the higher stress. I'll say it again. As a Hong Konger, there's not much time to do something healthy. But I'll try to do something that's good for my body. But I'll try to do something that's good for my body. You can hear the melody. It's not, but I'll try to do something that's good for my body, like a lot of Hong Kongers might pronounce it as, using the intonation that sounds like a robot. But I'll try to do something that's good for my body. That middle part of the sentence really is flat. But I'll try to do something that's good for my body. And the next sentence, for example, I try to go jogging with my husband after dinner, around 2 to 3 times a week. And sometimes I'll invite my kid to join us. It's a good way to maintain our health. Here's a tip. Try to imitate native speakers that you watch on YouTube or on TV. Here's another aspect of intonation that you should be aware of and should be able to use effectively to score a band 7, and that is sentence stress. Now previously I was showing you the intonation across a sentence, but with sentence stress you're actually stressing individual words to convey extra meaning. I'll give you an example. Consider the sentence, "I didn't steal $5 from your wallet." You can say this quite a few different ways depending on which word in the sentence you stress. And I'll demonstrate. I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. Can you guess the implied meaning when I stress the word I? I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. Someone else did. Or if you stress the word didn't, I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. I'm denying it. I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. I borrowed it. Now this is a good example where I'm using contrastive stress. In the first sentence I used sentence stress. I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. And in the second sentence I'm using contrastive stress. I borrowed it. So I'm contrasting the word borrowed with another word. Obviously the word I'm contrasting it with is steal. The verb. I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. I stole $50. I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. I stole 5 cents or 5 pesos or 5 renminbi. I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. I stole it from someone else's wallet. I didn't steal $5 from your wallet. I stole it from your jeans or your car or something else. The fifth feature of pronunciation that you need to master if you want to score a band 8 or more is rhythm. You need to use natural rhythm, and to do that you have to know the features of connected speech. This is one of the features which most people are already aware of: contractions. It's, there, I'm, I've, I'll, she's, that'll, etc. Now pay attention, the way I pronounced there, it's not there. It's not two words pushed together very closely, there. No, it's there. It's the same pronunciation as over there. And another contraction to demonstrate that is the word W-E'-R-E, wear. It's the same pronunciation as what do you wear to school, or where are you? Where. It's not we're. And another feature of connected speech is the reduced vowel sounds. That is the schwa sound. For example, an apple. Notice I didn't say an apple. I said an apple, an apple. That's really important to get the right rhythm. An apple has 2 beats of the same tempo. An apple, dun dun dun. An apple is dun 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 dun. It's faster. This is where you get the rhythm from, by reducing the sounds. It's very important. And another feature of connected speech are all of the other modifications to sounds in connected speech. This is where it gets very difficult. For instance, elision, intrusion, assimilation. What are these? Well, elision is where some sounds are dropped because it's too difficult to pronounce that in between 2 other sounds. And intrusion is where you insert a sound that's not originally there, because it makes it easier to pronounce the 2 sounds either side of it. And assimilation is where one of the sounds changes according to the sound after it, because it's easier to pronounce the 2 together by changing the earlier sound. As a Hong Konger, there's a reduced sound. As becomes is, and becomes As a Hong Konger, there's not much time to do. Now the word theirs becomes this. It's also reduced. It's not only using contraction, but you're reducing the sound. There's not much time to do. To becomes to do. It's not to do, to do. So if you pronounce it without reducing the sounds, you lose the rhythm. As a Hong Konger, there's not much time to do something healthy. You'll hear that I have the correct intonation, but I don't have the correct rhythm, and that's the mark of a band 7 in pronunciation. A band 8 will have both rhythm and intonation. But I'll try to do something that's good for my body. You can hear a lot of reduced sounds in there, but, not but, it's but. Try is stressed, but I'll try to do. To becomes t, and do is do. Something that's good for my body. That's becomes that's, and for becomes f. That's good for my body. My is also reduced. For my body, for my body, m, for my body. But I'll try to do something that's good for my body. For example, okay, the for in the for example is reduced. For example. For example, I try to go jogging with my husband after dinner, around 2 to 3 times a week. And sometimes I'll invite my kid to join us. Lots of reduced sounds here. It's a good way to maintain our health. Here's an example of assimilation. In the last sentence, it's a good way to maintain our health. The T in the to becomes a D. It's a good way to maintain our health. A tip, practice rhythm by singing pop songs. You are forced to sing at the rhythm of the music. And here's a quick summary. The 5 features are word stress, chunking individual sounds, intonation and sentence stress, and rhythm. And here are the levels that you would be when you have achieved each of those features. So if you want to go from band 5 to 6, you should focus on the first 3 features, and a band 6 to band 7 focus on 3 and 4, and band 7 to band 8 focus on the last one. Which feature of pronunciation do you think you'll focus on? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video useful, please click the like button. If you want any further tips on how to improve your IELTS score in speaking or writing, I have a free blog on my website, hongkongieltsteacher.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.